Hi, so we're here at the home of Mike Hoffman, just outside of Athens, Georgia, and he's invited us in to talk a little bit about what he does in terms of collecting of baseball memorabilia, and also what he does at the Hall of Fame on an annual basis. He gets up there during the induction ceremonies and has some great stories about folks that he's talked to up there. He's invited us on in, and he has put me into an original stadium seat from Yankee Stadium that he got as a Christmas gift this past year, and it is number 6 stadium and stadium seat, and he's made me sit in it so that we can talk some baseball. All right, Mike, I guess the best thing to do is to just start out with just telling us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and what your favorite team is and how you got into baseball.
Well, of course, I grew up in Long Island. Favorite team, of course, is the Yankees. Used to take the train into the city and go watch doubleheaders. Normally on the weekends, we watch the doubleheaders on Saturday, and that's where it all started, pretty much.
Right.
So,
who was the announcers that you remember, like growing up from?
I remember Mel Allen,
right.
but as far as announcers, and a lot of times I was really concentrated on the game, based on what my dad told me I should be looking at and watching how they position themselves on the field and stuff like that. So it was a lot more of seeing what guys did and that kind of stuff, and where the outfielders position themselves and how they position themselves for different hitters, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, neat. So who's your favorite player?
Mickey Mantle, of course.
So,
just grew up, in that era, and got to see him.
Yeah.
The latter part of his career, unfortunately, didn't get to see him when he had all the speed that everybody talks about from home to first. So, but always liked his style. Yeah. Tried to emulate him, of course.
Tried to be a switch hitter.
Yeah, switch hitter, and also played center field.
Nice.
So was the passion.
Right.
That's where the passion came from.
Right.
So
now you mentioned when we first got here, you talked about how you scored the games and you learned how to score the games. So how does that kind of play into your passion of the game and how you learn to really appreciate what's going on the field by scoring?
Well, I think you get the whole concept of the game because we had to keep track of 4-3. You knew where each position was, how to score, pass balls. You found out also, like catcher's interference. Never knew what that meant. But
I wouldn't know what that.
I know, but if you're keeping score, and my dad was very meticulous with that stuff, and would tell me, you need to look at that kind of stuff, and always, just wanted to make sure my card. It's almost like anything looked complete when the game was over.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I guess, when you see it at spring training, where there's so many players changing in and out and everything else, I always think in my mind, I wouldn't want to be scoring one of those kind of games. You know?
Well, unfortunately, when I went to go see the Yankee games, it was towards their not very good years, so there was a lot of pitching changes and a lot of, of that, so you had to always keep your card updated.
Yeah, that's great. It's just a record and a history of that particular game that you got to see, so that's a lot of fun. I want to just kind of get into a little bit more about just how your passion was born, and the generational aspect is something that we like to really focus on a lot, and so you mentioned your dad helped, teach you how to score the games and so on. So how about, his favorite team, his favorite players, that type of thing? Yeah,
well, there was, as far as we were concerned growing up, there was only one team in baseball. It was the Yankees. He grew up with the Yankees. We grew up with the Yankees. We've passed it on. Every one of my family members is a Yankee family. Their kids, for the most part, are Yankee family fans. Yeah. And now my children, you can ask every one of them, are pretty much Yankee fans. If they are a fan for someone else, I don't know about it. We'll straighten that out sooner or later.
Subversively rooting for somebody, we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's been a generational thing, and I think with most of the people that are real baseball fans, that's what it is. Yeah. You follow it through generations, and You go back to the stories that your dad told you, that you heard about, and that's what you pass on, and that keeps the stories going.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we love talking to people like you about is there are so many stories, so many personal stories that also around all these teams. So, and thinking about your dad and when he would have been a fan of the Yankees, I've always been fascinated by the New York area at that time when they had 3 teams, and just the next door neighbors would be Dodgers fans, and the guy across the street would be Giants fans, and that type of thing. So he had at that point in time 3 teams to choose from, and he ended up picking the Yankees as this team. So that's kind of interesting. Your passion runs deep in terms of now your exposure through the Hall of Fame. So I want to find out a little bit about, first of all, how long have you been going to the induction ceremony, and then how did you start doing that in the first place, really?
Well, as far as going to the inductions, it's been, my one friend Bernie Horn will disagree probably a little bit, but it's been in the 20 to 25 years straight, something like that. I've missed 1 year. But it's just the atmosphere of Cooperstown. It's just something about it. When we pull up or when we get close to Cooperstown, I get that feeling, almost like I'm going to my first baseball game.
Right.
And it's been that way every year. It hasn't stopped. So it's just to see the people, to see the players that you emulated, that you wanted to be like, the whole 9 yards for all those years, to see them in person. And to see that they're just like us, and they got kids and all that part. A lot of the personal stuff that you never see, you get to see there maybe a little bit more than you would other places.
Right.
Just makes it a little more intimate, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. So. Now, what do you do when you're up there in terms of responsibilities?
Well, now I, for the most part, when I go up there, I volunteer for the Baseball Hall of Fame, and that's like a kid in a candy shop. Of course, we can't seek autographs or anything like that, which is fine. Just getting to see the people up close and kind of hear their stories. Sometimes, if you get in part of a conversation with one of them, is worth the whole weekend.
Right.
To see how these people that come up there to get inducted are so excited, and just to see them relieved after they finally get to make their speech. And to see that they're comfortable now that they're part of the Hall of Fame, it's a unique situation. So
you can actually see a physical change and an emotional change.
I just think you see them kind of open up a little bit more. I'm normally there from Monday for the Connecting Generations, and it's a whole different things. They're like relaxed, sit back, where they might be a little tentative in the beginning. It seems to be a lot different.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Do you have 1 or 2 particular moments that kind of stand out for you in terms of interaction with somebody? Or?
Well, there's several of them. I guess, every year you seem to have an interaction with one, which kind of steps out. So to pick a couple would kind of be hard, but I would say that every year there's normally something or some conversation you have, or something you found out about a player you never knew before. One of the ones that does stand out more than anybody is Stan Musial, who has a harmonica with him, and you better know how to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," because he'll pull it out wherever, whenever, and you better be ready to sing along. So, and that's great. I mean, you'll get a kid 4 years old to a grandparent all singing at the same time. So
accompanied by Stan the Man, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
can he play it, or does he just?
He plays it.
Nice.
So
tremendous. So how did actually you just can volunteer? Is that something that people can?
You have to go through a process. They have they do a background check and everything else. And one of our friends did it. We used to be on the other side of the fence, hawking the autographs, and it got to where we're getting older and we're getting pushed around a lot. So it's nice to be on the other side now, and just to help people. A lot of what we do too is just help people to if you want to get to the hall, you go here or whatever. We've been going so many years, we're become like tour guides to tell people where to go and how to get to places, that kind of thing. So.
And do you see every year there's some of the people?
There's a fraternity every year that you see the same guys with us. There's 4 or 5 of us that get together every year based on going to these
from all over different parts of the country. But
most of them are concentrated in the upstate New York area. But I think I'm the furthest one coming
Yeah.
from Georgia every year.
Right.
So.
That's
hit it hard somewhere.